Hey everyone, welcome to Gaming in the Keats. I'm your host Chris, and I'm bringing you a holiday special. Yes. Um, this was played right before the new test version rules came out, so we're still using like the old, I guess, test version 4 instead of 5. And we decided, our clubmates and I decided to do a doubles game. So this is a total of 4,000 points, but each side gets 2,000. So we got Dread Elves and Highborn Elves, a very, very unlikely wavery alliance here, versing Kingdom of Equitaine and Sylvan Elves. So, narratively speaking, I think the Dread Elves were able to somehow convince the Highborn Elves to side with them for some sort of political gain. But I'm sure that they had some sabotaging motives in mind here. But we'll see. We'll see how this battle turns out. And this is again played at our gaming store, Titan, in Timonium, Maryland. Our good friend Mark came down from the Green Dragons Club to get this game going. So, without further ado, let's get into the lists. Okay, so for Dread Elves, we're going with my list. I'm going with an Exarch Adept, Divination. So we got some rerolls to hit, we got some magical moves and divine attacks, and just a little magic missile in there. And I just gave her something super simple, spear with the Master of Slaughter. So this is still the multi wounds 2 artistry of death lethal strike spear. Next we have 20 Selixian spears. We have a sheltering standard because in this rule set it still existed. Then we just have, to round out the core, 5 Shadow Riders for dying for the cause. Then we have one of my favorite units I've just been loving this unit so much. We have 10 Dread Acolytes, the Temple Acolyte version, so that's the combat version with the Banner of Discipline to have them be pretty independent on my flank. We have a good old Divine Altar of Nob, so that's the battle focus altar. We have a Hunting Chariot for some stopping my opponent's Swift Stride and getting in some big shots in. I think that's good. And just, it's a chariot, so that's fun. And then we have I'm trying out this unit, the 9 Black Cloaks with the Repeater Handbow and Poison attacks. This is my assassin unit to just come in and just hopefully nuke a unit with its 18 poison shots. So we'll see how it does, though. On my opponent's side, my opponent went with more of the combat side, so I have more ranged attacks aside from the magic, and then my opponent went with more of the combat units. So he has the High Prince General, the battle line hero, so 18 inches of discipline 10 to scoring units. He's just got a 4-4 with Kingslayer and Scroll of the Pearl Throne, so he uses it to turn off a magic item. So that's nice once you're in, I guess, base contact with him. Then he's just got a simple Commander Battle Standard Bearer, who's going to be Halberd Strength with Touch of Greatness, so Strength 6 AP3. Nice, sweet. We got 24 spears, just a standard bearer. We got 14 archers. Then we have 19 sword masters with the war banner of Rhino, so they have +1 to their charge and +1 strength. And the BSB will go into the sword masters. The high prince will go into the spears. Then to round things out, we have a nice initiate of the fiery heart, and he's going to be taking molten copper and flaming swords. It looks like. I can't remember actually if we took flaming swords or just a fireball. I almost feel like we dropped the flaming swords and took or we didn't do the flaming swords. This might be an older version of my opponent or my friend's list who he sent me, but I think he actually took the fireball on this one. Since I have, that was the plan. I had all the buffs and debuffs or whatever, and then my opponent has the damage spell. So that's actually a typo. It should be the Pyroclastic Flow. On our opponent's side of things, Mark's list, he's bringing a Duke who's On Tristan's Resolve, Basalt Infusion, Potion of Swiftness, Sainted Gallantry, Forbearance. Like, this guy will just hurt you a lot when he charges in. Yeah, he's got a nice folk hero as well, who's just running a single spell, just Foresight. He's going in. They're both going into a big unit of Knights of the Realm with the Stalker Standard, and they also have a Relic Shroud. We've got 7 Knights Penitent. That unit is tough. That's a scary unit, because they're unstable instead of being able to break. And there's 2 wounds each, I think, per knight, if I'm not mistaken. So they're a tough unit to deal with. And he's just got 16 men-at-arms, Knights Forlorn, and a Standard Bearer. Then on my opponent's, the Sylvan Elf side, we've got the Tree Father Ancient, who's going to be doing Nature's Venom, Fountain of Youth, and Entwining Roots. And then we've got just 10 archers, 10 dryads, to just get in the way of things. We've got some Forest Guard with spears. Then we got the Blade Dancers. That's like only 10 of them for $2.99, I think, is really nice. And then we've got another Tree Father, so double Tree Father coming in here. I think Mike and my goal was to play the altar relatively close to the Swordmaster, so they could benefit from the the Fury rule, because it's keyword elf within 6 inches. So we're just going to keep the Swordmasters pretty tight with the spears. Use our shooting to isolate some of the other units. Let's see if we can use our fast cav, like whatever you call it, the acolytes. They're going to be MVP mode, hopefully, this game, and be able to harass our opponent's backline, because it looks like they really don't actually have that much shooting. It's really just the bows, some of the Tree Father shooting weapons, and that's really it. I think you do get a damage spell with Nature's Venom. It's one of those 2 spells that actually might do damage if you're in contact with a forest or a terrain feature, if I'm not mistaken. But alas, so that's what it's looking like here. It's a lot of combat for both sides, I think, so minimal range damage, but I think our side has a bit more range potential with the magic and the shooting involved. But let's see if we can do something about it. All right, so the pregame settings here, we're playing on, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but I do believe we played on, or we did, it's been a while, but we played, oh gosh, the deployment with the vanguards. You pick a, whatever you call it, you pick a third of the table, and then you get the vanguard. The primary was Forge and Plunder, so we both had to nominate terrain features and prevent the that are outside our deployment zones, and our opponent, we had to prevent our opponent from getting to that terrain feature, I believe. And so in this case, we nominated the water feature, and our opponents nominated the field that we had to get to. In secondaries, I got Enslave and Ransom, so I just had to run down. In this version, it was only 2 units, like, to run them down, and that does include destroying the unit if it has fled, and making contact with it, like catching a fleeing unit. Then we have, I think my opponent has Stand Firm, so we need to have more scoring units in our deployment zone than our opponents. Kingdom of Equitaine is Forbid and Trespass, so I think they nominated the hill for us. We had to plunder the hill and then settle the score. I can't remember if that's actually correct. But so that in this version, that would be the getting the most expensive scoring unit. So I think that was it was either the scoring or the non-scoring. And so if it was, I think it was the scoring. I think the spears, the highborn spears, were the ones that were nominated for that secondary. So if I'm wrong, y'all can, the players can correct me in the comments or whatever, but yeah, let's get on to the game. Alright, so as far as deployment goes, left to right we have some scouting black cloaks on our side. We've got the initiate, and we have the hunting chariot right here. So our opponents, they won the roll-off, so they picked the sides. So we just decided to drop first. So we have most of our range damage on this side, on our left side. Then we have our sword masters with the BSB right in here. We have the spears right here with my general. Then we have some archers. We have some vanguarding shadow riders that are right behind the hill. No one can see them currently or outside of their charge range. We have the spears with the fleet commander in there. And then we have the temple acolytes on the far side. So to counter deploy, our opponents drop some archers. The Sylvan archers right here, these are the men-at-arms. We've got some dryads. Here's the forest terrain that our opponent put down. Here's the big unit of Knights of the Realm with their evil duke in there. And the folk hero, we got some blade dancers right here. We got, this is the Tree Father Ancient. Then we have the 15 spears. We have the Knights Penitent, and then a Tree Father, just a regular one, locking down their flank. And I'm looking at this now, and I'm noticing I don't think either side actually vanguarded their third. Like I couldn't tell you if this is actually correct. But again, if one of our teammates or clubmates remembers, then by all means, feel free to chime in. Okay, so Dread Elf, Highborn Elf, turn 1. I'm able to vanguard with these guys, and then march into the ruins, it looks like. Yep, and I do take 1 dangerous terrain here. Chariot moves up. Unfortunately, I'm outside of range. I'm just outside of 18 here. I couldn't quite get it. And outside of range of this unit to shoot it to lose Swift Stride. So, but that's alright. Sword Masters and Spears move out, just getting right outside of charge range from this unit here. The initiative just comes more central. Archers kind of chill in the woods. These guys, we don't need to move them yet. They're just going to chill and react to our opponent's movement. Spears move into the water, just, I guess, because. And the Dread Acolytes are getting right outside of charge range from the Knights Penitent, but just threatening, trying to zone this side. So in Magic, we do get a Molten Copper off. Our opponents let go Molten Copper and stops the pyroclastic flow onto, I believe, the men-at-arms. But we do get a Molten Copper off, and we do take out that back rank. In shooting, the chariot shoots into some men-at-arms. I think I kill 3 of them here, and then shooting here, I kill 2 archers, but I don't kill Panic, so not a great opening start from this unit here. I definitely whiffed a little bit there, but we'll see how our opponents respond. Okay, Kingdom of Equitaine and Sylvan Elves turn 2. His archers face, so we're just going to be having like a showdown in the ruins. I think that's going to be pretty cool. His Knights Forlorn move up, staying outside of charge range from the Sword Masters or the Spears, but he's saying, well, if you want to charge the chariot in, that's fine. We'll probably chop you up. Dryads move into the forest. The Knights just move up slightly. Again, staying outside of charge range. Dancers are moving up. Spears chill next to the Knights of the Realm. The Ancient moves up, as well as the Knights Forlorn, and then he's giving me almost an auto charge with the front here with the Tree Father, seeing if I'm going to take the charge into the Tree Father with the Temple Acolytes. Magic, not a whole lot happened in Magic. I think he was able to get within 12 inches, by the way, of a shooting attack, but missed with everything, or I made my Aegis save. So the shooting attack from this Tree Father didn't do anything. Okay, here we go. It's starting to open up here. So, I choose to not charge in. I didn't want to take any DTs. I'm saying, oh, and shooting, he was not able to kill a single black, or yeah, I think they're called black cloaks, black cloak. So we're now just sort of having a cool little epic battle in the ruins over here. I choose to not charge his Knights Forlorn. Instead, I am just able to squeak outside of his line of sight with the chariot. The initiate comes up, staying right outside their charge range. The Swordmasters don't really care about the Knights Forlorn charging them. The spears are outside of their charge range, but moving up, keeping everything in the front. We activate our chaff and just push forward. And then you can see on the far right, I do take the charge. I'm putting in some faith with the acolytes. I don't think I kill it, but my goal is, because I have Artistry of Death on this unit, I just have a lot of attacks, like a lot of high quality attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 5s, -1 to his armor save, so he has a 4 up, 5 up. So I know I'm not going to kill it. My goal is to just like stick it there and hopefully grind it down. But let's see if this is a good decision or not. Oh yes, and then in Magic, I think, yeah, in our opponent's magic phase, we just stop the regrowth on the knights. So in our phase, I think we get, our opponents let through, our opponents let through one of our damage spells. I don't think it really does anything. I think they let through this time. They stop the Molten Copper, and they let through a Pyroclastic Flow, but the Pyroclastic Flow really doesn't do anything here, ironically, even though that they're in the field and these are flaming attacks. But shooting, on the other hand, so shooting does a number on this unit here. Well, I think it's probably a combination. I think we might have killed a couple. Anyway, we do kill some of the Knights Forlorn, and then shooting here, this time I killed, I think, the back rank 3, and this unit does panic, and so they panic and run. So our black cloaks are winning the ranged war there. Oh, so this was nuts. So I get through, I think, 5 or 6 wounds on this guy, and my opponent makes every single save. And then in return, completely whiffs and doesn't make a single hit on the Dread Acolytes. So I just I'm winning by a charge and a banner, but this unit is stubborn, and he sticks and holds for a turn. So we just sit there looking pretty. Okay, so our opponent's turn. I do see more knights there. So maybe they were... Oh, that was this turn. I think we failed to stop the... regrowth on this unit here. This magic phase, but he charges the chaff. The spears are supporting the knights here. He moves his knight's penitent right before the edge of the water, because it's only turn 2. And just saying, yeah, if your spears charge me, like, you're not going to get your AP bonus this round, and we'll just probably win that fight. And then this unit is also supported by the Tree Father Ancient, who's sneaking around here. The Blade Dancers turn around to hopefully clean up the Dread Acolytes, because now they're stuck. Dryads move in front of the spears, and the Swordmasters blocking them both. Knights Forlorn just kind of shuffle over closer to the side. This unit does indeed rally, and yes, like I said, we stopped, we stopped Entwining Roots or Nature's Venom, one of those two, and instead we let the heal go off on the Knights of the Realm. So they obviously clear out that chaff, no problem, and then the Tree Father breaks. He doesn't do anything to me. I think I sneak a wound through. It doesn't matter. He breaks. He failed his leadership check and ran off the board. So, Dread Acolytes. Oh, man. Y'all just got lucky. All right, we have my turn 3. So let's see. Basically, my chariot, so the hunting chariot over on this side charges the archers who flee, and then I connect the charge on the 5. I needed the 5 to get into where they were, and I make it, which is awesome because that will give me an enslave and ransom point. The sword masters alone charged the dryads. Not sure if this was the best decision here, but that's the decision we chose. Spears turn to keep everything in the front, and then the archers are backing up slowly, and then my opponent or my teammate backs up just out of the water, I think here, to invite the charge in from the forlorn. Or excuse me, the penitent. Then the Dread Acolytes, now being free, actually move back to start threatening my opponent's rears and flanks of their other units. The Initiate comes over here. Our opponents let go another Molten Copper. We kill a couple more knights, but they stop the divine attacks on the Sword Masters. Okay, it's showtime. All right, so the dryads do break from combat. The swordmasters still, even without any support, they're able to get them to run, and they reform. Now, my teammate made a bit of a mistake here, and so he left this opening where the Knights of the Realm will charge in, and they can indeed clip this overrun, I believe, like just barely, but so that was just a bit of a positioning error on our part. The men-at-arms do not charge the Initiate because since they're in the field, the Initiate has flaming attacks, and so there's a lot of re-rolls on this unit, and I think we used a breath weapon on this unit last turn too as well, so they're dwindling down here. But anyway, so Knights of the Realm charge into the Sword Masters, so that's looking interesting. We have the spears coming up. We have the dancers trying to block in the Dread Acolytes as best as they can, so they can't charge past into my spears. My opponent, they put their Knight's Penitent into the water to get the primary here. So that's that's a thing. So our opponents looks like they're up on the primary at the moment. In Magic, we stop the regrowth on the knights. So that's basically it. So let's get into that combat. And wow, oh my goodness. So Swordmasters just absolutely nuke this unit. And granted, they do hit back decently hard, but we win that combat overall. And let's see, do we actually? Yeah. We still win that combat, but the Folk Hero and the Duke stick around. So I think the Folk Hero is in a challenge with the BSB, if I'm not mistaken. So the Duke is the one who's hitting on the unit. So that's how it looks. The Swordmasters being like first strike distracting is just kind of ridiculous. The Orzen token does go up. I think this is the +1 to hit to try and to mitigate that distracting, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, wow, that was ouch. That definitely came out good for us there. Okay, so in our turn 3, I charge his spear unit. And this puts me on the hill as well, so I can plunder it. And then, basically my hunting chariot also just goes into the flank of the Knights Forlorn, which is fantastic. I don't have an overrun to the Dryads. I don't think I could have done that. But magic, our opponents stopped the divine attack, but I am able to get up the Dread Elf Hereditary up, because I took away the magic missile, I think, for the Hereditary, the one that's the yeah, Fate's Judgment, whatever it's called. So I get the Hereditary up. So now these Swordmasters are like AP4 against this unit, which is awesome. In other news, yeah, the spears kind of back up, keeping everything in the front here. Archers back up. I see what my teammate is about to do. He's trying to set up a flee charge here, or like he's trying to set up a flee maneuver. So, yeah, we're feeling pretty confident. Let's see if we can get rid of these two characters. Okay, so oh my goodness. We put 2 wounds on each of those characters. I do think, yeah, we put 2 wounds of each of these characters. So they're so close to being dead, but of course the Duke is still wailing away at the Swordmasters here. And everyone sticks around here. I don't do as much as I thought I would to this unit. I think I whiff a little bit, but that's okay. I let them decide to run, and I don't chase. And now when I think about it, this shouldn't have happened, because I had totally forgotten. This goes back to a previous report I just did. I think I had to have chased this unit, because the altar of Nob is actually has the frenzy rule. So I think this was I misplayed this. I totally forgot about this until now, until I'm like looking at the picture. I'm like, oh crap, the altar of Nob is frenzy. So I should have just overran, and it would have been possible, I think, to hit the flank depending on what I'd gotten into the dancers. But yeah, so oh well, that's how it ended up being. But yeah, that's close combat for you. Okay, Kingdom of Equitaine, Sylvan Elves, turn 4. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the chariot did run down my second unit for the Enslave and Ransom, so I have the chariot gets gets my secondary for me. Good job. But you can see here, our opponents charged the Treefather Ancient to the flank of the Swordmasters, and they charged the rallied Dryads here. So nicely done there. I think he originally charged the archers, they fled, and then they make their redirect, and this was a 6. He needed to get a 6, and he rolled the 6 on the dice. I was like, oh no. So yeah, basically in other news, the Knights Forlorn, or excuse me, I keep saying Forlorn, the Knights Penitent turn around to face the Acolytes. The Dancers decide to look at the spears outside of their line of sight. I do believe this unit does rally, which is fine. And yeah, let's go. I think, let's see, in Magic we stop the healing, and let's see what happens. Oof. And so at the end of close combat, the Swordmasters and the BSB kill the 2 remaining Equitaine heroes. However, the Treefather and the Dryads end up still winning the combat and stomping down the unit, and gets the unit down below 25%, and then, or no, they don't actually. They are like 1 short, so they have to, the Swordmasters still break, and so they have to run down the Swordmasters, and sure enough, they are able to run them down. So, wow, Swordmasters and BSB gone, but on the bright side, we took out the Knights of the Realm, and the Duke, and the Folk Hero. So, I guess that's like, yeah, that's definitely a trade that went in our way for us. Okay, our turn 5. We essentially move like so. I chose to reform the spears to face the Dancers. Our spears come to support in case anything happens. The Acolytes just move outside of their line of sight here and threaten the Dancers. We're going to focus on them. We're just going to avoid the Knights Penitent. and focus on getting this unit here as well. The chariot comes over to just start shooting at this unit. Blackcoats are just kind of chilling at this rate. They've done their job. The initiate comes over here. Our opponents stop. Our opponents end up stopping, I think, the divine attacks, or maybe our opponents stop the divine attacks onto this unit here, but we are able to put some wounds with a molten copper up onto the Tree Father Ancient, which is good. Shooting, I think, kills one or two of these guys, but they pass their panic, and so I don't have a picture of our turn, or our opponent's turn 6, but effectively they decide to not charge in the dancers into the spears, because they figured they'd do a lot, but then they'd still end up losing some and just be stuck there. And then they just chose to put the dancers right in front, giving me a rear charge with the acolytes. They reformed this spear unit and put them right here into the forest to take the charge from the chariot, and think cause some DTs and potentially kill the chariot with being spears and everything. What they did do is they charged the ancient and they charged the archers off the table, because my teammate chose to flee, and so the Tree Father Ancient is facing this way, which is kind of interesting now. I think they made a bit of a mistake that you'll see in the next turn. So on to our turn 6. I do take it. I'm just thinking, why not? I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to charge into the forest, into the spear unit. I don't take any dangerous terrains. They lined up the dryads to block the rear of the ancient, I guess, but the model does fly. So we decide to this way charge the initiate into the dryads, overrun, and then on their turn go into the ancient, and maybe we can kill it with flaming attacks, or just might be able to take it down. We'll see. Spears reform, and they are able to, the spears are just able to reform like so. We do end up taking the charge in the rear of the dancers, and so our opponents, of course, put everything into stopping the divine attacks onto the acolytes, and so I get I think I get whatever the other I think I get rerolls to hit onto this unit, so that was kind of it, or it was rerolls to hit onto the spears. Either one, it was rerolls to hit somewhere around here. So, and despite our opponent choosing the 3-up Aegis save with the dancers, it isn't enough with all the amount of attacks. Well, I really think it's actually they rolled really well on their Aegis saves, but then they didn't do a very good job. They're still hitting. No, they're hitting us on 3s, wounding us on 3s, but I think this is where I just spiked on my Aegis saves as well. I had a charge in a rear and maybe killed a couple of dancers, and they ended up breaking, and so I decided to just continue to run them down. It's putting me into this weird, awkward position, but there you have it. So it's our opponent's last turn. As I mentioned, actually I forgot to mention that the chariot did end up killing the spears outright, which was great. We killed the dryads and overran to the Tree Father's rear. Our opponents just decide to take points. They're very, very upset with this Temple Acolyte unit, because this Temple Acolyte unit has now just punched way above their weight class, which is great. And just caused a lot of issues for our opponents. So the Knights Penitent just go in. I choose to flee, but I don't flee very far, and the Knights Penitent catch them. So this unit is now dead. And so this goes into the end of the game. The Tree Father and the Dragon have a whiff fest and don't do anything. And there you have it, folks. That is the end of the game. Thank you so much to Mark and to Aaron, our opponents, for playing. This was an incredibly fun doubles game. Oh my goodness. This was a blast. It was just, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was also fun to see how, like, different rules could interact. Like the way that we played it, we had so friendly spells could affect other opponents, or sorry, our other friendly units that even though weren't in our army, but were like our allies' army. So that's how we sort of did that one there. And like same with the rules effects, etc. So yeah, that was awesome. Great game, a lot of fun, and let's get into the score. Okay, and so that makes it a final victory of 12-8 with everything calculated. So the difference was a 33% difference, so it was originally a 14-6, but then our opponents got the primary, so that makes it an 11-9. However, I was the only person who ended up scoring their secondary, I believe. So it ended up being a 12-8 victory for the Dread Elves and the Highborn Elves. So units lost. I lost those Shadow Riders, the Acolytes. We also lost our BSB commander, the Archers and the Swordmasters. But from our opponent's side, they lost the Duke, the Folk Hero, Knights of the Realm, Men-at-Arms, as well as the Archers, the Forest Guard with the Spears, and the Dryads, the Dancers, and one of their Tree Fathers. So yeah, whew, that was fun indeed. I think the big moment, there's a few big moments there that had occurred. The one being the Tree Father making it in on a 6 into the side of the Swordmasters, which was awesome. And then the Dread Acolytes just breaking and running down the other Tree Father, not because they killed it in combat or anything, or did a lot of wounds to it. It just failed its test, and our opponents got unlucky there. So yeah, I also was appreciating the hunting chariot. It was basically getting me my secondary objective, because it wouldn't do enough to kill a unit, but it would do enough to break it and then be able to run it down. So I was appreciating that little tech piece, as well as potentially stopping those swift stride cavalry charges as well. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was cool seeing the Swordmasters have Fury on them, benefiting from the altar, which was awesome. That was a lot of fun. It was cool seeing the the Tree Father healing up the knights, which was cool. Yeah, we just couldn't figure out exactly how to get that Knight Penitent unit. It was just not, I don't think it was worth trying to go after with them being unstable. So, and then, yeah, there's the big mistake that I made that I just realized, where I should have actually overran with the altar unit to catch the Forest Guard, instead of reforming. So that was my mistake there. But yeah, lots of fun. Thanks again for all the friends who came out. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the new test version rules that have come out. I think they came out yesterday, and games like this they're just so important, at least for me, because, I mean, this game can get, you can get so mired down in just trying to make, a competitive, synergistic list that you also have to, learn how to play, right? And you're focused on tournaments and trying to make these events happen, and in this case, it was just why don't we just do a 2v2 just for fun? Just play some units that we want to play, and yeah, it was great. It was really refreshing to be able to get a game in like this. So I highly recommend it, y'all, if you haven't done so already. That being said, happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for watching, and ciao for now, y'all.